Alright, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney. I am once again sitting up. I know, crazy, right? But I didn't really feel like laying down today, so we're gonna do this sitting up instead, because, it's easier. Anyways, we got a part 2 for the trial now.
I have considered the defense's counsel request for a further summation examination of the jury, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, you'll now proceed with your second summation examination.
So crazy that we have a second one now.
I presume the jury's ready, Mr. Foreman?
We are, my lord.
Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime.
Well, I do like the music for the summation examination. It goes hard, not gonna lie.
The Kuros left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his.
If there was some novel alternative explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider.
Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it?
Dearie me, it was only a little book. Hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit.
Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tiny bit of trouble.
Come to think of it, we had fire at home a while ago. Gave me the sneezes.
Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems. With one notable exception, of course. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony.
I'm gonna try and make Van Zeeks' voice a bit more raspy, because I was listening back to it, and, like, it doesn't really sound that much different from my normal voice.
So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime. Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way.
That means, I'm afraid, that during the summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts.
But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Yeah, and I have a headache right now. Jerk face. Jose, I was just talking to you. Why am I a jerk face now?
Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and method by which the attack was conducted.
I like making fun of you. Well, I'll take that as a compliment. And there I was thinking this might be hard.
But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends.
No pressure then. No question.
That's quite enough, preamble. Proceed with the summation examination, please. I presume you're prepared, counsel.
Oh, yes, my lord. Alright, Ryunosuke. Focus your mind now. It's time for the... It's time for the face slap. I called it. Clearly, the key of this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid. Or should I say, Mrs. Garadeb.
We have a book that disappeared from the Garadeb's house on the evening of the incident. And the 4th book found in the victim's hand.
Mero no question. Yes, exactly. There must be a link to the 2. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes. Oh yeah, I downloaded some more music for my Spotify playlist. I downloaded like, I don't know, like 4 songs. I downloaded a Tekken 7 Heat Haze Shadow, which for some reason wasn't already on my playlist. I downloaded a Fury Bowser theme song from Mario 3D World, and I downloaded a few songs from Mega Man World 4. Pretty good stuff.
Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garrett and how she reacts, even to the things other people say.
Play Super Mario Kart 64, best racing game ever. The defense's rebuttal. Well, let's press, don't we?
Hold it!
But as we know, there were 4 books, not 3.
Well, what difference the difference does it make?
Oh. We can, like, get reactions now. Was that a thing before? I don't remember. There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belongs to the defendant's landlord.
Yes, that's the part I have a problem with.
Sorry?
Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said.
That's not exactly how I put it, no.
Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened.
I think that's what you call a strong alibi.
So could it have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow? Honestly, I can't see what all this palaver's about. It's a done deal, isn't it?
I suppose it is, since I've got nothing witty left to say.
If there was some novel...
Yeah, I've already read this.
Hold it!
So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean?
Oh my, such a lie on your face. But I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I'm a very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman.
That's great.
If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see, modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I do love tea time. But I have an assy headache, probably from caffeine withdrawal, which, you know, I don't really have a desire for Dr. Pepper today. I'm only going to be drinking Dr. Pepper on party nights, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday maybe. Just basically the weekend. I usually limit my soda to the weekends now. Not at all extreme.
As I see it, an overwhelmingly suspicious Japanese man has been implicated by overwhelming strong testimony. So despite 1 or 2 minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say?
Overwhelmingly.
But us modern gals are always delighted to embrace new fads, you know? So I'd be only too happy to consider an exciting new theory if you come up with one.
But that's just a theory. I'd be happy to do that too, if only I could.
Let's do our very best not to disappoint the modern and metropolitan young lady.
Right. I'm glad you admitted rational there.
Hold it!
But what about the possibility the window was open?
What about it? I mean, there's just no way it could have been.
How can you be so sure?
The prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors.
But what if it's too hot in your room, like right now?
So no, that window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire staying warm, see?
But you couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you?
It just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it.
Then what's the point in even having windows, huh?
Counsel, you'll kindly refrain from childish bickering.
Sorry. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this young man isn't gonna budge otherwise. But how do we do that?
Hold it!
But the little book was on fire at the time, was it not?
With flames of lava, I'll have you know.
there's really no such thing as a loving incendiary bomb.
Well, he brought it up upon himself. It's playing with fire to betray a fiery love. Isn't it? Well, don't you agree?
Well, any kind of betrayal is certainly a bad thing, yes. But I think the argument might have arisen out of your misunderstanding, Miss Gyarados.
Never you mind that. The point is, we're just having a jovial little dispute, nothing more. And I won't have any more of these suggestions that it was anything whatsoever to do with this crime.
Alright, well, we'll see about that. What about juror number 5? He doesn't seem to be turning a hair at Miss Gyarados' relentless onslaughts.
It's almost as though he's used to it. What a gentle soul he is.
Well, then let's talk to him, huh? Him and his fucking fish lips.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with? How can you sit there and say something like that? I mean, his future's at stake here.
Well, him and me both then, like I said before.
What?
I told you already, I'm a day labourer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning.
What?
You heard me? My missus won this about, you know. She could be fierce, believe you me.
They're shining our example of marital bliss then. Marshall. I keep saying, keep on saying Marshall.
A situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, you know, it's funny, but I can't quite remember.
Sorry?
It was too frightening, and that's the thing. Must have blocked it out.
Helpful.
I wonder if Mr. Beat will ever be dragged into Thames by a scarf.
Don't even go there, Miss Susato. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. We had a fire at home.
Hold it!
Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad.
Could you tell us more about the fire?
It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top, it did. What a sight to behold it was.
You put candles on a cake? Was it some kind of devil worship?
Of course not. It was an angel cake. To celebrate my birthday, obviously.
Seems as a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo.
Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but the candles went flying all over the room. The furniture caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke.
Wow, that could be a case in itself. Are you talking about Rana Road on, like, the actual N64? Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. But how'd you catch a cold from a fire?
What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames.
It's too long. N64 Rana Road's too long. It was better in F-Zero.
And then, because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it.
The windows?
The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I got a terrible cold from it. It put me in a hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry.
I knew it was devil worship all along. Something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason.
We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it.
Yes, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary.
I think you're gonna need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation.
Yes. I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions. Just a connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a final strike.
That's the spirit.
Well, let's have a look. The accused left behind evidence. There was a novel alternate explanation about how the victim was stabbed. It was only a little book. Winter house fires are dire. You have to clear the smoke. Oh, that's it. I think I see already. I think I see what I need to do. Can't relate to the crime if the window was closed. You have to open something about windows, right? Because this is the only guy that's talking about with the window, right? Let me try this out.
Objection!
These two juror statements are clearly contradict one another.
They do? How exactly, counsel?
Don't point at me again. I told you it wasn't me. What's that you say? Speak up, lad. Speak up.
Juror number 3, do you see?
Oh, me? See what, sir?
Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of a winter.
Oh, well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency.
I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, then you'd be mad not to open the...
Oh!
Exactly. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garrideb household. And Mr. Garrideb had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke.
Oh my.
Oh. She's talking about this.
Excuse me.
Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garrideb?
Oh, dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am?
It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now.
What is it?
Mario Kart 8 N64 aged poorly. The track is like 6 minutes, isn't it? Isn't that crazy about that? When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window?
What? I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating?
The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window.
And what if we did? Oh, alright then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window. Which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering.
Even though your house was on fire?
Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise.
Of course. Should have realized.
That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You managed to establish the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garrideb's formal statement.
Oh, I see.
Now you mention it, yes, the window was open at the time. I'd clean forgotten, but it's true.
Well, do we press that?
Hold it!
The 4th book was found at the scene of the crime. Alright, no. The 4th book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garrideb told us he had been reading.
Well, I really couldn't say.
On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he'd been reading?
I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right.
Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset?
Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on, as well you know.
I really don't.
I barely noticed that I was throwing a book.
Oh boy.
Much less the title of it.
What's this guy?
Excuse me.
What is it, juror number 5?
You know something? I remember what it was. The memory I blocked out.
Ah,
It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought all foot and back.
Who are you calling Granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Gerriteb, or the maid, I'll have you know.
the man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to getting hit all the time.
It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. I put my hand in the pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. It was a hole. Every last penny dropped out.
Oh dear, what a disaster. Oh man, that's like my shorts, dude. I have this pair of shorts that has like a fucking hole in the left pocket, so I can't put anything in it, which sucks.
Yeah, well, the half of it, boy.
Oh?
The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight. I've lost a day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Sucking the wall next to me, it did. About an inch deep.
No words, just terror.
I could smell it then, you know. The god-awful stench of the Thames. I'm sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I tell you. Nah, that's a real disaster, isn't it?
I'll never use the word lightly again.
Anyway, point I'm trying to make is this. When women lost their egg, they'll throw anything in there. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it.
Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
No, I wasn't thinking that. I don't know, I feel like a lot of women are like that. Most women I've met are like that.
Throwing household objects at people is, well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like. I mean, at least Susato's cute and not, like, easy to upset, you know? Unless when she's about to do a Susato takedown, but that's besides the point.
What? Attack? Who are you wanting to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Alright, well, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later. If I dare. I've never met a cool woman in my life. Except for my wife, but that's a different thing altogether.
The women in her age were home all saying that, yeah. The kitchen knife really brought that to me.
Your wife really threw a kitchen knife at you?
That's right, she was chopping meat with it. Had a tiny edge on it, believe me. Still, it's all memories, isn't it? Started with that smile she threw me when we were courting. And since then, the list of things she's thrown at me has grown along with our relationship. Here's a cup, then a glass, then a pot, a kettle, chair, wardrobe, cooker, a bathtub.
The kitchen sink. Your wife must be beefier than you.
Things came to a head last week when she threw me right into the Thames. Still, she's not so bad when she's calmed down. She's a little sweetheart, really.
I'm so happy for you.
If you want to know what I think this whole idea of ladies first that was so obsessed with this country was started by some clever lads who've been tossed in the Thames too many times with their wives.
That's a very interesting theory.
What a terrible thought.
On the face of it, this juror's statement just sounds like a really extreme anecdote. But I think it might turn out to be an extremely powerful weapon. A weapon I might be able to use to make the jurors accept an alternative explanation here. So, do I need to put this guy's, like, statement against everybody else? Those 3 books. Well, she says something about an alternative explanation, right? Oh my god, what if a knife hit her? Oh my god.
Objection!
Dude, that's so possible. These two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection.
Good grief, you mean they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once.
Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel alternative?
Oh my, whatever do you mean?
An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back.
What are you talking about?
We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Gerlach's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Gerlach household to the street below.
What's up now?
After all, Mrs. Gerlach could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4?
What are you insinuating now, you little beanpole?
I'm beginning to think that ever since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened.
Now you listen here, you Eastern Gala. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some of the object making its way out of the house. But what? What was it?
I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't any real evidence to back it up. Don't we have the knife, though? We have the jackknife. I'm certain that at the very least this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from the Gerlach household to the scene of the crime was... the knife?
Take that!
Juror number 4, Mrs. Gerlach.
What now?
I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before?
Ah,
Good lord, counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was lodged in the victim's back, man.
My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Gerlach were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Gerlach was hurling anything she could at her husband, who'd been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed land at the crime scene.
You can't seriously believe that.
The book was found in the victim's grasp.
Are you saying that flew out the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand?
Huh, even my missus ain't got a name like that.
Yes, I admit, there are many details we don't yet understand. I mean, that would explain why there's no blood on it, though, right? But that's the point. That's precisely why we must not allow this trial to end. Not right now.
oh my.
Mrs. Gerlach, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not?
Oh,
I think she just had a heart attack. My lord?
I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all.
Thank you, madam.
Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it'd be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions.
Mr. Foreman.
I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind.
Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either.
All together now, ladies and gents.
Woo! What about the old man?
Walk over that wire and the C4 blows up with the old man.
We did it!
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo.
So, as a result of the defense's summation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and this trial will continue.
All we need is maid and old man. Oh yeah, by the way, I have some good news, guys. Jose's getting his PC in like a few days, which means we might be able to do a Metal Gear 2 race soon, which would be kind of dope, honestly.
Now then, Lord Van Zeeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed?
This trial's rapidly descending into a farce. Like a corked wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. But what follows is so repugnant it's good for nothing save the gutter.
If I may, Lord Van Zeeks, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened.
Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense's argument's a joke to which I barely know how to respond, but let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourself better with the relative positions of those places being discussed.
What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time?
It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garrett household runs a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garrett's house to the scene is some, yes, 15 yards.
Let me see. 15 yards. That's around 14 meters.
14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. God damn it, Imperial system.
And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having pretentious significance, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, the smoldering book, wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, traveled some 15 yards, to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb.
And I just spat on my mic. Great.
Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? And did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Even those pathetic, serialized detective stories have more believable plots. There's nothing I can say to that.
That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice.
Mrs. Otto.
Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he?
Maybe let's pick our battles here.
My lord, might I be allowed to speak?
Oh my god, I don't know if we've ever seen Susato from, like, this angle before. Have we ever seen her, like, right next to us before?
As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense. Yes, go ahead.
The prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrett, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination.
Saints alive! A cross-examination of a juror? Order, order, order! Well, this is highly irregular. It is unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
Yeah, fuck the wine glass. Fuck that wine glass.
Lord Van Zeeks?
There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's partial theory has any truth in it, then both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. And we must assume they'd be able to testify accordingly.
What say you, witnesses?
Kind of forgot about these two.
Yes, sir. Constable Rowley Beat reported for duty, sir.
Well, good morning, officer.
Sorry for dozing off until now, sir. I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my boat, sir.
Or beat, not boat.
Oh, they're so heroic, these London bobbies.
Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more.
Oh, Rolly, my hero, you make me swoon.
Very well. I hereby reject the defense's request,
Oh,
and order the witnesses in the stand to testify again.
I mean, that would have been a cool plot twist.
State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt to hear their testimony again, though.
Yes, sir.
And then back to sleep. Constable Beats report.
This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett. Believe me, a London boy is good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garrett house are top-hinged casements.
obviously, if anything been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
I didn't take my eye off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that, sir.
One thing I really like about this game is that all of the witnesses come in like pairs, you know? It's either in like groups of 2 or groups of 3. You know, I imagine like by like the time we get to case 5, there will probably be like groups of 4 or 5. I don't know, I'm just making shit up.
Well, this is quite startling. Top hinged casement windows.
What do those look like even?
That detail's not in the police report, Constable.
Oh, yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy.
You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable.
Oh, no, sir.
Sorry, but what exactly is a top hinge casement window?
And you. You cannot excuse your ignorance with such a trite remark, my learned friend.
Of course, sorry.
I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's room.
Alright, I'll try.
So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house.
Oh, those windows. I've seen those before. Yeah. I don't know where I've seen those windows, but I've been to... Oh my god. I lived in an apartment once that had a window exactly like that. Yeah. And I remember, like, not liking it very much because, I felt like I didn't get enough air from it, you know? Because it was always so musty in my room. Yeah. Now I remember.
But as it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge, you see?
I'm glad you rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature is its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount.
It prevents it opening? It's all news to me.
Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife would have been thrown through the open window.
It would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below. Oh yeah, that is a problem, isn't it? No.
You see the problem then? Good, your education in Windows is complete.
Well, maybe you can educate me on Windows 11 then and why it's terrible.
There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. That is, unless the window pane had been shattered, something we've discounted already.
That can't be... Did you see that, really? Young Japanese man just collapsed in agony. Oh yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw he crumbled before me. Hey, Rolly, you're so strong. How's this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed.
Well, fuck you anyway, you're gonna cross-examine anyways. Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination.
Fine. My lord. Oh, good, another desperate situation. Yeah, and I should probably take a drink before my voice gets too shot. Oh, yeah, by the way, I bought some mini eggs today, so I might have some of those during the stream.
Hold it!
How can you say that for certain? A very good question, sir. And the answer is this. It has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty. He showed us that before, didn't he? Yeah, I remember. Did he? Can't say I remember. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. It's what the job's all about. And that's why I stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you Bobby's good for his word. While rolling my tired eyes admittedly. Sir? Oh, Rolly, you're so manly. Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, Pat. Oh, Rolly. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrett? Oh, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir. Yes, well, so could you answer the question? That was a waste of time, then. Absolutely, sir. I'll answer to the fullest of my abilities, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's domestic dispute can't be related to the case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yes? I'd very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and show how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. So to that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. But I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears. Thank you. I'll try. Oh, well, that's important, right? A small folding wallet that identifies London bobbies and contains the rules of conduct to which they must adhere. That seems pretty important. I'm glad I'm liking how we just get random evidence from pressing shit. Okay, well, I think it's very important we read this. Item number 1. A policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. A patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Okay. Item number 1. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. I think I already have an idea of what to present, but I'm gonna press anyway.
Hold it!
By which you mean they don't open fully, is that correct? Yes, sir!
They're just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see, so they're restricted as how much they open.
And therefore, anything thrown out of the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map.
Are we gonna get an update to the map?
Here is the location where objects would have fallen.
Yes. Directly opposite the scene of the crime, on the other side of the rather wide road.
Would have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-hinged casement thing before. Well, I have another question for you, Constable.
What would that be, sir?
How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house is furnished with?
Oh, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Oh, that's important.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Mrs. Beat?
Sorry.
You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that? Don't mind me, I'm just having some mini eggs.
Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky.
Lucky? What do you mean?
Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. We were just so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly's beat. It was so close, you see.
Oh, I hadn't realized.
Oh yes, that's Street Briar Road. That's the boundary between Rolly's beat and the next one. Isn't that right, my love?
Constable Beat.
Yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with the interviewing the occupants of the Garrett household yesterday. Their house is on my beat, you see, sir.
And that really was cutting it close, then.
Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garrett household's on your beat, does that mean the pavement next to it is as well?
Outside Mr. Garrett's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on that side of the road is part of my beat.
I see. I was unaware of that.
Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of the Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby, after all.
Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners.
Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work. Did you think so, my darling?
That must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it.
I really like their like duo, them as a duo, because if you add their names together, it becomes Patrolly. Or you know, Patrol, which is actually a joke that they already made in Ace Attorney Investigations 2, but it's fine. Because in Ace Attorney Investigations 2, there's a character called Patricia Rowland, and if you take the first 3 letters of both her names, it's Patrol. Kind of a funny coincidence, honestly. I think perhaps we should make sure we have that information officially on record.
Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately.
The case file has been updated. The pavement where the victim was found lies just outside Constable Beat's beat, the border of which runs down the middle of Briar Road. Constable Beat's beat.
Now it's my turn, I think. Obviously, if anything had been thrown out the window, we would have seen it.
But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark.
Oh, but Rolly and I was strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star.
Like the anime? Sorry?
The star that'll guide us to eternal happiness.
Can it guide you to answer the question?
If a flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like a shooting star.
And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let really be an inspector, I would have said. 3 times at least.
Of course, what with the smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars.
In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you?
Yes, sir, that's correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir.
Certainly seems like they're telling the truth.
And then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her.
Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer, is that right?
That's right, yes. If it had been on Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course.
Don't feel bad, my love. You can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat.
So it really told me the way, only I sort of got a little lost on the way.
That seems important.
Patricia, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction's bewitching to me. Oh, Pat.
Oh, really?
Oh, please.
So I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But like I said, my Rolly was at the scene the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed.
I was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir.
Nothing strange to report on that front. Are you sure about that? Nothing to report?
That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time, never looked away for a second. No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it.
No one else approached the scene.
I can swear that on yours honor, sir.
Really? That seems a little strange.
Beg your pardon, sir? Strange, sir? Seems altogether regular to me.
This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrett household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hands of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time?
Uh-huh. Could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well?
Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As you can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Yeah, why would she randomly have a burnt book? That seems too coincidental.
Well, sir, that book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene.
Is that so? There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries of that knife, of how that knife ended up in her back and how that book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them.
Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Malloy, sir?
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
Yeah, you're doubting us, aren't you? I can tell.
What? I wasn't really. I mean, what's she doing?
Please, just because I'm a woman, it doesn't make my testimony any less valuable. You might just see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am.
I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you.
No excuses, I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Mrs. Pete, I'll allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one.
That was a very loud mutter.
I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policeman's wife would count for nothing, does he? Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but I really won't.
Duly noted, Mrs. Beat. Please, I humbly ask you to continue.
What could he possibly be about to say, I wonder?
I don't know, we're about to find out. Is it the next statement? Oh, is it this one?
Hold it!
Mrs. Beat, nobody's questioning what you've told us.
I did. See, that evening, I saw it clearly. The little Eastern man with the whiskers and the funny curved back sinking away from the scene. And I know what I didn't see as well.
Huh.
I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky.
All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction.
Oh yes, well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I've always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Rolly. He gets ever so cross.
Well, he has something to say about that, though.
Excuse me.
Constable Beat, is there a problem?
No, sir. No problem, sir.
Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all.
You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident?
Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. But she was gone a fair bit longer than what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back in inside 10 minutes, but my darling was gone a good 15.
Oh really, you're such a tease. But the reason I was so long was because of the bouquet, silly.
The bouquet?
Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about?
It was a present for our wedding anniversary. Rolly's so romantic. He saved up for it with farthings and halfpennies he found in the gutter while doing his rounds.
Yes, how romantic.
I forgot all about it until just now. Had you, my darling?
Huh? Oh, yeah, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about to anyone else, darling. You have to promise.
Really? Oh.
What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very obviously troubled during that exchange.
I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruhodo. But I'm quite sure of one thing. We have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet.
Mrs. Beat, this bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please.
Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to.
This testimony just never ends, does it?
What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way for a while.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back. I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me. I was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting a light, so I didn't notice at first.
And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on.
Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. That's when I spotted my bouquet again, but the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all.
In case you need reminding, Mrs. Beat, the victim's not deceased.
I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice calling from the other side of the road.
Your husband, presumably?
That's right, silly me, I'd gone over to the wrong side of the street. Although, I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. I can't think of how it got there, I really can't.
So the bouquet somehow moved from one side of Briar Road to the opposite.
Curious indeed.
Isn't it? But the worst of it, I almost forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. That beautiful rose really bought me. Will that change from the gutty since so long collecting?
By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this sorry solitary rose?
Oh. Oh! Yes, that's it. That's the bouquet Rolly brought for me from an anniversary, with all bits of change he found in the gutter.
Maybe just call her Rose.
Tell us, Lord Van Zeeks, where did you come by this flower?
According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garrettov household. In front of the Garrettov's house? Although it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case, as it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare.
Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Could I have it back now, please?
No, I think for good measure this rose should be added to the court record as evidence.
Oh.
The anniversary bouquet. Present for Patricia Beat from her husband Rolly. The shock of seeing the stabbed victim caused Mrs. Beat to drop the rose where she stood.
But it's a symbol of our love. I want it back after the trial. Do you hear me? I want it back.
Good grief. Rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Miss Beat.
I didn't take my eyes off the crime scene for one moment. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir. Let's see. And those are top hinged. This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrettov, but it clearly says... By the way, can I should probably examine the frickin' rose itself. It's very stylish paper the flower is wrapped in, isn't it?
It's just an old newspaper, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, I suppose it's because I'm not used to seeing English print. Looks so exotic to me.
Ah, I see.
Is something wrong?
Oh, no. I was just thinking that if you wrapped a stone-baked potato in an English newspaper, it might look like some sort of fancy cake.
Ah, this is out of sign. You do love your cakes. What about the rose itself?
An English rose. Such a beautiful flower.
Oh, there's a rose, is it? I've never seen one before.
Do you not take an interest in flowers, Mr. Naruhodo?
I wouldn't say that exactly, but I do know 3 types at least.
Gosh, 3?
Yes, plum blossom, peach blossom, and cherry blossom.
Perhaps you should consider branching out. Learning something that aren't fruit tree based, for example.
What else can I examine? The bottom of the rose? No? I wish there would be a little check mark next to shit I've examined already. I think that might be it. Right? Unless there's something I'm missing, like the newspaper itself. Oh, apparently that counts as the rose and not the newspaper. I think it's time for a save, probably. I haven't saved in a while, have I? This case has nothing to do with Mr. or Mrs. Garrettov. Nothing to do, huh? Well, maybe not this statement. We would have seen it. The shock of seeing the stabbed victim. Well, here's one theory. They, she wouldn't have noticed because she would have been paying attention to the body, right? That's one theory. What else? Make sure nothing was disturbed, but then why did the rose end up where it did? Let's see. Nothing strange to report. I don't know, I have a lot of theories on what I could, like, present. We have more information on this, right? Apart from... let's see. The assailant was seen running away. It says Constable beat the border of which runs down the middle of Briar Road. So I think it might have something to do with this. Any crimes fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. So... shouldn't he have gone to get the detective, you think? I don't know. I honestly don't know what the right answer is here. Like, it could be a lot of things. Because, like, my logic here is, like... if he didn't take his eye off the crime scene, then why did the bouquet end up where it did, right? Why would that be a thing? Let me try this. I don't... this is probably wrong, but let me see anyway.
Objection!
Oh wait, I think I was actually right. Oh shit. I guess my gut instinct was right for once. You claim, Constable Heat, there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene? But that cannot be. Ooh, banger music.
What do you mean to say?
In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime, the policeman assigned to that beat, the bouquet you dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. But considering the size of this meager bouquet, if a single sorry bloom can be so described, no doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs.
Meager?
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact?
No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor. But that bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Rolly didn't mention it, I'm sure.
No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysterious the wrong way around.
What are you talking about?
Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Guerra's book. Mr. Guerra's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless somebody deliberately moved them.
What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word the scrawny lawyer says. Wittering on about books and bouquets, why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is.
Oh god, Mrs. Garrett's comes around. You might call it nitpicking, Miss Garrett, but deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called,
Tampering, Mr. Naruhodo.
I mean, that is a big problem, especially if a policeman does it. But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it, for a very subtle but compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering? You've barely heard that term before. Tell us, my learned friend. Who could have possibly have had the cause to carry out such an elaborate deception?
Yes, there's someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person. Is it actually Rolly?
Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you saying is responsible for the tampering of the crime scene?
Well, I guess it would be Rolly Beat, right? I mean, I guess I'll save, though, just in case. Oh, I guess it's okay to make a few mistakes, I haven't lost any of my lives yet, but you never know. Well, because think about it, right? He's a policeman, and policemen get mega under-fired for tampering with the crime scene, right? It doesn't matter if you're a policeman, a detective, or anybody, but especially if you're in the law enforcement, tampering with the crime scene, it's a big no-no. You get fired for that, probably.
Take that!
Obviously, there's only one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you.
What? A policeman? A member of Scotland Yard?
What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no one straighter than my husband. No Bobby works more tirelessly for the people of London.
Maybe he was, like, super sleepy or something, so, like, he wasn't thinking straight, so maybe he, like, moved the evidence, you know, and completely forgot about it. Mrs. Beat, you said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it.
You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about the Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it.
Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well.
Objection!
First you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well? But your accusations lack one very important thing.
Evidence, I guess.
Your claim the crime scene was tampered with. But there's only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime. To hide something.
That's right, he's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why we have anything to hide? It doesn't make sense.
You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering.
Oh, it's the motive, not that. What I was thinking.
And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats.
Constable B had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair.
Mr. Naruhodo, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Counsel, you've made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you're mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, you'll now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering.
Yes, my lord. Constable B's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the book fell, where the bouquet fell, or where the victim fell. Where the victim fell. Huh. Well, let me think about this. I don't think it matters where the victim fell, right? Because, like, I doubt he'd move an entire body, right? Unless he did. I don't know. I'm gonna try this because that's what my gut feeling's telling me. Where the victim fell to the ground. That is what this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What?
Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road, we saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know.
That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
I'm beginning to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Council.
If that's your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing the crime actually took place that evening?
Probably here, right?
Take that!
But that's...
On the opposite side of the road.
I don't understand.
On the evening in question, Mr. Garrett's book fell directly from the open window above. At your bouquet, Mrs. Beat never moved, and your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself.
Good gracious!
Objection! Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place.
That's right, I saw it with my own eyes.
It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, that was actually on the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable Beat then arranged you for to be absent for a while sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. So wait, he did move the body? He moved all the things shown in this print. The victim, herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road.
Extraordinary.
But the constable overlooked one thing.
What? What did he overlook?
The bouquet, I presume?
Exactly.
The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeek said it wasn't noticed until the morning, as it lay where the street lamps cast no light.
Yes, it couldn't have been seen in the dark, obviously.
Which is why it was only the bouquet that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond, Constable Rolly Beat?
Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important?
Oh, Rowley. It isn't true, is it? What that lawyer said's all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know.
I had a dream, a terrible dream. All the things I did that night.
Everything come out. Everything exposed. Only it seems it wasn't a dream at all.
Good golly. Order! 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 What on earth is the meaning of all this?
Oh, really, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it?
Wishing the victim dead should be one too.
Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London town.
I can't say, sir.
What?
I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything.
So it's true, huh? I have a possible explanation for why, on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason.
What? How could you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman? And yet, Lord Van Zeeks, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter this far.
Yeah, you haven't done shit, man.
I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please.
Yes, my lord.
Now then, I think you'd better show us some evidence.
At once, my lord. England, Japan. Makes no difference where you come from. Human emotions are the same. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feelings behind this man's actions.
What gives away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinkable actions?
What could give it away? The rose, maybe? Or the bouquet, maybe? I don't really know. What did we present? We haven't presented, we haven't presented the warrant card yet. Can I read this again? He felt compelled to move the scene of the crime, but why? Well, he said feelings, right? So, like, I don't know. Oh my god, I just thought of it. What if he was trying to protect his wife? Like, if he saw the bouquet at the scene of the crime, do you think maybe the detective would have thought that his wife had done it? That's a theory. I'm gonna save again in case my theory is wrong. I think this is my theory, but let me try it.
Take that!
I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I've only just arrived from Japan. Which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learnt that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example.
Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat in all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby's charged with a great deal each day, certainly.
But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special.
Special? How?
On account of this bouquet, my lord.
Oh, yes. It was our very first wedding anniversary.
Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford this simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out to a celebratory meal.
When he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road.
when he saw that shadowy figure through the fog collapse on the pavement ahead of them. What must have gone through the man's mind? This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives.
Aha!
Constable Beat, is that or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day?
Yes? Everything you said, it's alright.
So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat.
Oh.
Exactly. To summarize, the incident actually occurred on Constable Beat's beat.
Good gracious. Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you've done?
It was the first time since I became a copper that I'd ever cursed God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran onto the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then, it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime's discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Why here? Why does this have to happen?
Oh, I think I get it. So what he's saying is, this specific street that he was on, he had to investigate it, but if he moved the body over to a different street, then someone else would have to do it, right?
And why tonight of all nights?
Oh man, I didn't even think of that.
Why? It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then when I opened my mouth to speak. It just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you have to go to the police box that covers it, turn right along Mearsham Street, and then...
Wait, what?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Constable.
I just wanted, just that one night, to take my Patricia out for dinner.
Oh, Rolly.
Just that one night.
You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care.
I see.
You see, I thought, well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see.
I beg your pardon?
Oh, of course he did. Otherwise, my Rolly would never have left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement.
Oh, I see your meaning now.
But God got me back for my sins, didn't he? That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat.
Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I should never have dropped in such a dark place.
I'm so sorry, Rolly.
Wait, I'm so sorry, Rolly.
And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from one side of the road to the other in total? Huh? Oh, 4 it was. Yes, sir. Definitely, 4.
3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garrett household, of course.
But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean. Oh, well, sir, that's how I found it.
How you found it? What do you mean?
When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand. You're sure it was this book, The Lion's Pride, the victim was holding? Oh yes, sir. No doubt about it, sir. Interesting. We got another update. The book entitled The Lion's Pride that was in the victim's hand when Mrs. Beat first ran over to see what had happened. I thought it was an open-shut case at the time, you see. There were only 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However which way you looked at it, it had to be the fellow who ran off who done it, I thought. I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jar of difference. I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it.
My lord?
Yes, Lord Van Zeeks?
I believe that concludes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir?
Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him?
I don't know, is he gonna get fired, or is he gonna get like a penalty or something, or what?
For now, you're free to go home. The police will contact you in due course.
Please, don't punish my husband. This was all my fault. It's because I'm always moaning at him for coming home late.
Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired.
All right then, my love.
One last thing, Constable.
Sir?
Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you.
Yes, sir.
Carve that lesson in your mind. And never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime.
Never again, sir? You mean to say?
Leave, now. This trial's not yet over.
Sir!
Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of a crime like that?
Ooh, it's getting good.
Indeed, my lord. Nevertheless, there are some immutable facts here. Principally, that the accused, Mr. Saseki Natsume, is the only person who could have possibly committed this crime.
Objection!
No, I disagree. Now we know the true scene of the incident, there's someone else. It's like Yoda's like, there is another. Another person could have been responsible for the knife in the victim's back.
Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already.
Lord Van Zeeks, is this true?
Very well. Name the person, if you will, and if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objection to the trial continuing.
You'll name the other person who could have perpetrated the crime.
So Joan Garrett then?
Take that!
The defense would once again like to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord.
Once again?
My assistant made the same request earlier. In order to finally reveal the truth about this case. It's imperative we cross-examine juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrett.
Me? Oh, dearie me.
Objection!
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
But the situation's very different now. And plus, we already finished with the witness, anyway. Mrs. Garrett, answer me this.
What do you want now, you little toad?
At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garrett. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited. And to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road.
Well, what of it?
You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the pane of the top hinged casement window, the book plummeted directly down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident.
Yes, and as I said, what of it?
During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. What if she was... Man, can I look at the autopsy? This is the autopsy, right? Rendered unconscious following a stab wound. It says no other signs of injury were observed. Does that mean they just didn't check it, or did they not find any? What if the real cause of death wasn't actually the knife? As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garrett. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before?
Ah. I don't recall it.
Seriously?
Am I supposed to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband? And anyway, the man over there in all the regalia said members of the jury needn't testify, didn't he?
Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all, juror number 4.
Oh.
Make no mistake, you jurors are not special in any way. You're not immune to the judicial process. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out.
But that's just a common old garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know?
What's that?
Are you joking? What are you saying, please, Miss Scarab?
Now you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I had injured someone. Did you hear? I couldn't bear it. Oh, the poor woman. So yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence if you're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife, if that's what you think. Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst.
Well,
Mr. Naruhodo?
if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already. Then take the stand, juror.
Oh.
The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman. Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks.
I'm going to have to testify?
Juror number 4, as I'm sure you'll appreciate, having observed it with your own eyes today, witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Truths of which the witness themselves may not be even aware.
Oh, dearie me.
So I demand your full and adulterated testimony, Mrs. Garrett. And mark my words, in this court of law today, we shall extract the truth. Do you concur, counsels?
Certainly, my lord. Oh, that's what I'm hoping for, my lord. This is such a strange feeling. For the first time since arriving in this country, it actually feels real. I'm here, in the Old Bailey, and I'm a lawyer. This feels very finale-y. Witness, state your name and occupation.
Oh, yes. My name is John Garadeb. And I'm, well, I'm a juror and such like.
Sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore.
The court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam?
Oh, yes, my lord.
You'll tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. I was considering ending the episode here, but I kind of think we could probably end it today, actually. And I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth.
Oh, dearie me.
Chin up, Journey. Nothing to worry about now.
Oh, I didn't know you were here, John.
Oh, is he gonna be witness?
Wasn't only you in that day old thing, was it? Rather, I think I'll testify as well, don't you?
But what about your knee, dear?
Don't you worry about that. Hardly notice it. I'm not the sort of chap to leave a comrade face disciplinary action alone.
Oh, John.
I presume you're Mr. John Garadeb? Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. Seen my fair share of action and now living the quiet life, as it were.
The quiet life? Where you're not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question?
Oh, well, yes, sir. Quiet. I believe this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. You'll recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once.
Can we finish this today? I'm sure we can. I think we'll go until the to be continued. Here, how about I start laying down? That way, I could get a bit more comfy, because I'm starting to get a bit fuzzled by sitting up all the damn time. So, give me like a quick second, I'm gonna get comfy.
Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out though, and got the window open.
Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him.
What a great couple. I have to restart buying everything on Steam? Bro, why? What, did you delete your Steam account or something?
Plenty of knives around my place. Can't say I'd noticed if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. If that bounded thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have a job proving it, I think. Sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening.
Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems.
They nearly caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. It's almost as if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute. We'd been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield you're just a grat's whisker from death at any moment.
Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Your previous account that was attached to Steam is gone. What do you mean it's gone? You can't just use your old email or something?
Well, I must say that I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. In combat, one's focus narrows such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they've already testified. This may be a dead end.
Van Zeek's may well be right.
Well, whatever the chance is, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Okay, I'm glad I didn't end now, because I think this is the final cross-examination of the case.
Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination.
I'm sure we can conclude this in like another half hour to 40 minutes, probably. The Battle of Garrideb.
Hold it!
The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe.
Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garrideb.
A rather passionate note, in fact. But Mrs. Garrideb found the note, discovering her husband's little secret. But it really wasn't a secret.
And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it, too.
What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth.
Oh, I say, what a chap cat says he can't recall such things. It's common decency not to drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway.
I like this story.
His wires run very deep. You deleted your email? Bro, this is why you don't do that shit. I mean, I get deleting your YouTube account, but not your fucking email, man. Come on. Be a little smarter than that. Good grief. No wonder you're broke.
And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face?
Hold it!
Yeah, your email situation definitely needs some thought next time. And the fire also spread to some items of furniture, didn't it?
The bookcase, my armchair, anything I'm on, really. Just so happens there was some other bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. Most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water main isn't connected yet. Have to draw water from a public pump during the day if you need any, you see.
Well, that sounds terrible, actually. No wonder the rent's so cheap.
The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Although, the mustache Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe.
The fan of Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off.
Have you actually seen the state of the man?
I believe he uses all of his income to buy books.
Yeah, just like I use all my income to buy treats and games. And technology equipment.
Well, anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the floor with water, fortunately enough.
Replacement leader and the new first.
Hold it!
Even though the room was on fire?
As far as I was concerned at the time, it was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That's most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo.
How does she know I was thinking that? I thought about that earlier, actually. So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day?
In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I am no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge.
Jupiter!
A napkin.
Oh, he's thinking something.
Excuse me!
Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garrett.
Oh, hey, don't shit. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind?
Nothing of any significance, no. Just the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in me direction. Was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker, I seem to recall.
Ouch.
How the woman's aim's uncanny. She had direct attack with everybody. Oh! Good grief, woman. We're not home now. This is a court of law.
Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear.
What's she even doing with a teapot in here? I mean, you can never go without a cup of tea, I say.
Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously.
Well, take a look at this then. How do souls that happen, eh? Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hands as usual at the time of the onslaught. Not to clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage.
I see, your pipe was broken. That's why it's bandaged.
I haven't ever been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I managed to bandage the thing up for now.
Oh, you're one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear?
I wonder what we should make of this account. Seems pretty important to me. The defense believes Mr. Garrett's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection!
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, a common sense, one might say.
Might one?
In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir?
Huh? Well, I don't see why not.
Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady.
Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence.
Well, at least we got something out of it. Mr. Garrett's pipe. Apparently it fell to the floor during a domestic dispute he had with his wife and broke.
I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo.
No, darling, you're doing great. Let's examine the pipe. That's pretty important. Obviously the bandage. Looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? For some reason, it feels slightly ominous to me. Like it's trying to shout out a warning. Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Garrett's depressing gown.
I suppose it must have been considered of sentimental value to Mr. Garrett, given that he's gone to the trouble of preparing it like this.
Either that or you can't afford to replace it. Oh, what's this now? Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there.
Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think.
Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this?
It's a tiny fragment of metal.
A plate, maybe?
Looks like the tip of a blade or something.
Tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be. Fragment of metal. A small piece of metal looks like it might be stuck in... It might be the tip of a knife blade. Huh. That seems to be the only other thing out of ordinary here. And can we examine the knife blade at all? This is the tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Garrett's pipe.
It looks like the tip of a blade or something.
The tip of a blade? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? I don't really know. It's just something niggling me, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is.
Perhaps in that case, it'd be wise to examine some of the other pieces of evidence again.
Oh. Do we have anything that's broken? The jackknife. Oh my god. Notice how the tip of this is missing?
Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo. Just the tip! A small piece of blade appears to be missing.
Wait, part of it's missing? I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. You remember this?
Ah, that's a tiny fragment of a metal we found inside Mr. Garrett's pipe.
Yes, just maybe.
Oh my, it's a perfect fit.
Somehow I just knew it. So, wait, oops. Dude, that's insane. Did that update now? It's a perfect fit for the missing tip of the knife found in the victim's back. Wait, the tip in the victim's back? What the fuck?
I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down.
Oh no, it's fine. Thanks to Sasato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Well, thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Garadeb. Now, if we return to the crux of the matter, what can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? We examined this already.
Hold it!
Sorry, would you care to elaborate? Nothing to say, really. Rather partial to a smaller carving, you see. Pots and whatnot, fishing tackle, you know, that sort of thing.
It's a passion we both share. Me like to carve little wooden trinkets too. And then there's me, but leatherwork.
Sorry to say, we're always losing knives about the place. We have dozens of the things.
They sell them at the market sometimes. 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, me snap them up. John prefers to use 2 knives at meals too, instead of a knife and a fork.
No, John, we don't want people thinking I'm some kind of Oh! Here we go again with the scaldings. Why are they being so evasive?
I imagine it's because they don't want to believe it. They can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim.
Which is entirely understandable, of course, but still. Go on with your testimony, witnesses. Sir. Well, I already think I have a good idea.
Hold it!
So you have no intention of admitting that was your knife unless we can produce proof? Even though there's no other credible possibility of Mr. Natsume's innocent?
Objection!
You forget, my Nipponese friend, that it has yet to be established that the accused is not responsible for the attack. As if I could forget. Well, there's some way to know who had handled the knife. I suppose wizardry like that's just a dream.
Perhaps you're thinking of fingerprinting, Mr. Naruhodo.
What? You mean it's not a dream? That sort of wizardry really exists?
Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique finger pattern from their skin. Or so to say.
I can't see anything. There are already countries in the world where these so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. Lord Strongheart's currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice. Oh, fingerprinting's not a thing yet in this country? That's interesting. Yes, I believe we're rapidly approaching an era of scientific methods of investigation.
But for now, we shall have to find an alternative method of proving our assertion. Huh. I wonder if by, Great Ace Attorney 2, if they're gonna have fingerprinting now. That'd be kinda cool, actually. That this knife found on the victim's back was originally in Mr. and Mrs. Garrett's house. If only I could transplant this whole incident to several years in the future. So that's why we can't use fingerprinting, huh? Fingers! That's the extent of their testimony, is it? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I think we've heard all this before, to be honest. Can't say I'm particularly confident that we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony. But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential that we establish how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident. Yes, I know. I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was in fact a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury. If we find even a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory, it would clinch this trial for us. It would explain everything. Yes, it would. So for Saseki-san's sake, we must. We must find that last crucial piece of evidence. Well, I mean, we already know what it is. But what do we present? Do we present the knife? No, we present the fragment of metal.
Objection!
Mr. Garreteb, could I ask you to take a look at this, please?
You can ask, but I can see a bally thing.
You can't?
He used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment, of course. That was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest.
Man, you need glasses. How he does. Diddy me. He's rather wearing being asked about every other letter and every other word.
You must D very dusty. Oh wait, no. You must D very dizzy. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal?
Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence.
Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence?
It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garreteb's pipe.
My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how it got there.
And what precise... Wait, wrong voice.
And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it's in fact some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road?
I am.
What?
When put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. She needs a box, because she's so short.
You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. Which evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case?
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a small piece at the tip of the blade that's missing.
A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Garreteb's pipe. Ah!
Ugh. Good grief, Lord Van Zeeks. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal. are a perfect match. Good golly gosh.
Oh wow, it's interesting seeing him cornered.
Order, order, order! Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle?
So Van Zeek's figured it out, has he?
Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once.
Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony. Oh, good time to yawn, I'd say. Oh, I see.
Oh, dearie me.
During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Garrett had flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Garrett, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course.
Good lord.
And obviously we know now the tip landed in the pipe. Yes, and that's when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Garrett's pipe.
The chance of that are, what, that a million to one?
Yeah, it's even more likely than Dream's world record. Yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. Oh, we're going with ricochet now?
Oh.
In short, this knife, which fell from the window of Mr. Garrett's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh, no!
Objection!
Come on, man, you telling me we're not done yet?
A full body theory, I'll give you that. A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry. But after all, it is just a theory. A game theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see, I have legs of the masses. It's spoiled by an insurmountable inconsistency.
Insurmountable what?
Lord Van Zeeks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with a knife planted in the middle of her back.
Yes, in her... Oh. That's right, you silly little man.
Nah, John, old thing, what are you guys so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife that struck her had fallen from above, there's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back.
Oh shit, he's right.
Order, order.
Quite right, you see. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of the head.
Well, he's lost for words. Look, I knew it. I never liked this theory in the first place. I don't know, though. What really did happen?
It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my beloved leaned friend, is history. We're so close. I can see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way's been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words,
We simply need to examine that one inconsistency and the theory will stand.
Mr. Zato.
You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You're just caught off guard, that's all, and your mind went blank. But if the path you're on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance to your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper to the truth. It's a test. Yes. Or should you say, yes? If then I fell on the victim from above, there's no way that could have hit her on the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. What are you implying? Counsel? There's a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced. Oh my god, I know what it is! What if the book fell on her head and then knocked her out? Oh my god. We already have the answer.
Goodness.
Oh, madness. No, this is Sparta. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency. The final piece in this puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is... It's the book.
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present. The burnt book? Yeah, because the book got thrown out the window and it hit her on the head. She fell over and the knife got thrown in her back. Is that not Mr. Garrett's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand. As we all know now, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so. As part of this wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the Port Road. That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extreme enlightening statement at that point. But, what made you place that book in the victim's hand? Yeah, the victim was holding the book. In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. And clearly that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd been doing much of anything. So the question becomes,
Why did the victim have that book in her hand?
What? By Jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, dearie me.
We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garrett household onto the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past.
Yes, exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her. Oh, wait, no. She went to pick up the book.
The book I threw.
Yes, Mrs. Garrett. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement?
Well, me really can't imagine it, but me suppose she might have reached down and picked up the book.
Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book.
Oh heavens!
And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book... Oh, wow. The next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight in the middle of her back, and then that's when they heard the scream, right? And at that same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Miss Saseki Natsume, or Miss Saseki Natsume? Damn it, I didn't know he had a wife.
Well, I never.
It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above.
Ah!
And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim from her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place.
No, this was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Oh shit. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garrett,
The very first time you showed me that knife, me had my suspicions. Me understand if perhaps it might have been something like that.
There they all been.
Or Mrs. Garrett. Of course, me never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? Me take full responsibility. Me let my anger get the better of me. Me threw that book. And me threw the knife as well. John dear.
It's alright, I know.
Me ever so sorry. Truly. Me sorry.
what, did he soil himself?
Lord Van Zeeks, what news of Mrs. Garrett? She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There's no cause for concern. Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I've just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she'll regain consciousness soon.
Oh, that's good. Maybe she'll be a future witness or something. Has that ever happened in a trial? Where, like, someone who, like, got, like, the victim, you know, has the victim ever come back? I don't know if that's ever happened. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yeah, that's good news.
So, Mr. Soseki Natsume,
Still as fidgety as ever, I see. Yes.
on behalf of my fellow countrymen, I'd like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable kindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies.
No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again, in my confusion.
What conclusion, sir?
I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable B said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she'd been killed, too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Soseki-san. His imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So what had happened? I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should have never have dropped the books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of the trust between our two empires. And for that, I'm truly sorry. Damn, what a noble guy.
One can indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by this spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. And I heartily commend you both.
Oh.
Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Yes, my lord.
In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decisions regarding the defense culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court?
As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've been reached a fair and just conclusion.
I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure.
Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know, but I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll fully be getting out of here and start work? Well, it's about time.
I say, I'll have a corker of story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I?
Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yeah, buddy. Fuck you again, black side. Rip the eShop.
Very well, Mr. Soseki Natsume. I hereby pronounce you not guilty.
Woo! We done did it, lads. We freed another man. And hopefully he doesn't die this time.
And finally, Mr. Natsume,
Oh, yes, Lord Sir.
you are now a free man once more. It is my hope that you'll continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me.
Oh, yes, sir. Of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears.
Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned.
Hooray, we did it, lads. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Oh, locum! Wait, you mean me? Of course! Is there another locum here? Is there even one?
Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire, your name's cut rather short, hasn't it?
What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last I'm free! I'm free! Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Heady, hearty, happiness, hurrah!
Oh, I'm pleased. Mr. Natsume's delighted.
It'd be so hard just to say that, then. Locum, you did it! You saved me from the brink! Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now. No, not that! Lovely, loyal, locum lawyer! Yes? I mean, as I said before, I just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. And from high up windows, I see them looking down at me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback.
Oh dear. I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume.
But today, you locum lawyer gave my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold the best barrister ever born!" Well, that's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my friends, old friends, back in Japan. An anecdote? Is that what's become of all my hard work? Oh, there you are, my dear fellows. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you.
Oh, I'm here to see not a moment too soon. A disaster's been averted, I'm glad to say.
Oh.
Let me point at Mr. Zato real quick. The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruto, and I wish you the very best of luck.
It's just finished. What? No! Then my haste was in vain? Ah! It's you, Herlock Sholmes!
Oh, have we met, sir?
This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light.
Charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind.
My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I've placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Had she been taken to the hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now.
Oh.
But it was unavoidable, I'm sure.
We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Priceless, oh, I'm sorry, really, but... that was quite priceless. Where's Saseki-san? Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And, it would seem, you were not even found guilty. But there's no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits, and now it's the Reaper! Lord Van Zeeks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you found not guilty, you're still doomed. You'll be alright, Mr. Natsume. Huh? If the Reaper appears to try to make trouble, I'll protect you. Hiya! With a perfectly executed Susato takedown. Just I like being turned on my head. Bit of a warning might be nice next time, Miss Susato. He's still freaking the fuck out over there. I wish the homebrew shop has music. Does it not? Huh. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh. It's already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here and the city it's shaped. And I've come to realize that it's my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. I mean, that's a great thing, right? That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse? That's not it at all! The more I learn of literature, the more the strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. So he's like getting inspiration, that's nice. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Saseki-san. Could be an interesting read. And what about Mr. Zato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustache compatriot? Why would we? A week's not yet passed since we've arrived in London. And only now does it feel as though we've finally arrived, we finally found our feet. Ah, and you're accommodating in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, but we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget's exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? Huh, but what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with a floor, ceiling, and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit? Oh yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an infallible wake-up call. We'll think about it, if that's alright. Or we could stay at Mr. Sholm's place. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy is conveniently presented itself. Though it's up in the attic, I might add. Oh, great, like Joker in Persona 5. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price,
and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you've no luggage to speak of.
Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the Great Detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome for words.
So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you. And yes.
Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long.
Somebody's happy. I mean, she's blessed. Look at her. Locum? I knew that you wouldn't let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you, too. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day. Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, I have little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. Or is it 221B? I'm not sure. The attic room. So this
Is to be our new office, yes.
our office? I rather like the sound of that.
Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it?
It took us until the end of case 4 to get an office. That's a new one. I hope you can see this, Cosma. It's only a small step. But I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Oh, damn, he's looking a little different. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. Yes, thank you so much.
It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it.
Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. Dude, it's so weird seeing him without the hat. He looks like a different dude now.
I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We'll have a lot to celebrate.
Iris, you must let me help you.
Alright then, Susie. You can be in charge of the salad.
Splendid. So, Mr. Naruto, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. Those are precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London's a glorious place full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights cast the darkest of shadows. Shadows? What do you mean? This isn't Persona. Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London. Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it.
Oh, dude, we're gonna get to see Case 5 next time. This is gonna be so exciting. Landed in London. Ooh, yes, I would love to save my progress. Thank you. I'm running out of save slots. I can only have 20 games at once. Okay, well, that's awesome. I'm glad I got to finish that in one sitting. Much better than splitting it up, I reckon. Oof, this might be the longest Great Ace Attorney session I've done yet. 2 hours and 40 minutes. Good golly. Alright, well, in that case, guys, I think that'll be it for tonight. What time is it? It's, fuck. It's, 8:46. Oh, okay. I may or may not stream anything else tonight. Just because, that was such a long session. And also, I've already played Smash with Zach today. So, yeah, I'm okay with this. But alright, guys, that'll be it for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch. And, I guess tomorrow morning, maybe, we're gonna do some Great Ace Attorney tomorrow morning. Most likely, yeah. Because, tomorrow is a sort of busy day. On Friday, since it's Friday, me and Dominic and the boys, we're going to be doing some Minecraft. And I should specify that we're doing Minecraft Java Edition. So, I apologize to anybody who doesn't have Java, because, yeah. Yeah, we can't really... Because I'm pretty sure Java and Bedrock are not compatible. So, that's unfortunate, but I have Java myself, so I'll have to go boot it up or something tonight and see how that goes. So, yeah. And then probably later that night, we'll do some... Are we doing Jackbox Friday night? We might. We may or may not do Jackbox Friday night. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how long the Minecraft session goes, really. Okay. Well, I'll see you guys for that tomorrow, so take care.